week 14 of Lay in the Wood. I'm JT the Brick. That's the Hall of Famer, Rod Woodson. We hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. And now we're in the month of December, Rod, where football counts. It counts a little bit more. How you been? What's happening?
I mean, you love football, especially when the leaves turn orange. They start falling. You see the pumpkins on the side of the road. The snow starts falling, especially up north and in the Midwest. That's when football starts. Think about it. It's the only sports that played outside in the winter for a reason. And so when you start seeing those orange, the leaves falling and the snow coming down, that's when real football starts.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to get to some of the younger quarterbacks and their success a little bit later on, but you've been right on with the Panthers. I'm shocked that they beat the Rams, but now afterwards, and looking at the tape and watching the game, Panthers went for it twice on fourth down and converted. That's the league we're living in now. Yep. Stafford had a pick six. It just didn't work well. A lot of travel. I like what Sean McVay said after the game. We're going to take this loss and learn from it. What else are you going to do? They're still on top of the division.
Right.
They're still on top of the division. You've been on Carolina this year. You expected Bryce Young to get better.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at the overall aspect of where all the young quarterbacks were at, I'm like, who can be and who can have the most growth in this season? I thought Bryce was going to be that guy, and then they did him a great service by getting McMillan as a receiver, big, tall, physical kid from Arizona. So they got playmakers across the board, but his playmaking ability and how he is kind of bounced back from last year, because last year wasn't a great year for him, to be honest. It really wasn't. But for him this year, he's making outstanding throws. He's getting out of the pocket. He's making all the plays that he has to make. And he's taking this team to the next level.
Yes.
Defensively, they're playing good football also. But for him to throw that ball to his receivers and he's not a real big guy. And he's taking some pretty good shots. But he's a tough, gritty young man who can get up out of the pocket or in the pocket, dust it all off, and say, you know what, let's keep on playing.
I had a couple of buddies who went to that game, and one was a Rams fan, and I asked him about it. And he thought, Carolina was kind of a dead, sleepy town with the team not playing well. It's back. Yes. That fan base is rabid. They feel it. They see it. I think they're turning the corner. Now we're going to get to the Colts, Steelers, Vikings as they're falling off. We're going to start with the Colts. We've spent probably, this is week 14, 8 or 9 of our podcast editions were about the Colts. At some point, either early, in the middle, or the end, Daniel Jones has this fibula issue. It looks like Jonathan Taylor, wouldn't say he's hitting a wall. I think the defensive coordinators are trying to take him out of the game first.
Yeah.
What are you seeing with the fallback of the Colts here? Are you concerned they might play themselves out of the postseason?
Gosh. I mean, if you start looking at the AFC South, you do get a little concerned.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Jonathan Taylor's still a player. They are stacking the box, and they're saying it's very similar to what teams have been doing to the Baltimore Ravens, right? They're stacking the box saying, okay, Jonathan Taylor, you're not going to beat us. Daniel Jones, if you can do this consistently all year long, and when he did it, he's done it the first half of the year. Second half of the year has been a little inconsistent. I said it a couple weeks ago, I don't know if I believe completely in him yet, because I don't know where he's at. And I think if he can do that Sam Darnold type of year he had last year in Minnesota, if he can be that guy, you got to do it the whole year. And it's hard to do in the National Football League. He's played well, but the last several games have been inconsistent for him, and they're taking away their running game. And taking away their running game, now you're putting all the pressure on him. And he's been inconsistent at best the last couple games for him.
Your former team, the Steelers, feel like they're in a little bit of trouble. You mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. The noise is pretty heavy around the organization now, but I still believe in Aaron Rodgers. He's been much better than 6-6 his whole career. He's okay at 6-6 here. There's 2 games left with the Ravens.
Yep.
You'll be on the call with the Ravens for those games. I think the Steelers and the Ravens are who they are now. They're both not playing well. They're both playing each other twice. They're probably going to split. If not, if some team wins the 2, they're going to the playoffs. I still believe that Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers can figure this out with a couple games to go.
Yeah, the only thing concerns me about Aaron Rodgers is what he said this past week on TV, when he kind of threw a couple of his receivers under the bus, when he said he made some checks and they didn't run the right route. How does that work out in the locker room? Because normally that's a locker room issue, right? You take that to the locker room, that has stayed in the meeting room. We never take it to the media. And he took this one to the media. So I'm a little curious how that's going to work out, because sometimes, players are going to be like, yo, bro, if you got a problem with me, let's talk about it here. You don't have to call me out into the media. So I'm a little curious how that's going to work out. But with that being said, Aaron Rodgers still can throw the football. Mm-hmm. They still can run the football. It's only one team that's coming out of the North, AFC North.
Yeah.
It's going to be either Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I'm not taking any away from Cincinnati or the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I think Cincinnati has a higher,
they don't have enough
bigger hill to climb.
Yeah.
But with that being said, and it's going to start this week, whoever wins the game this week between Baltimore and the Steelers, obviously they're going to have sole possession of AFC North, the number one spot. And that team more than likely will probably get in.
Yeah, and it's always great games between them both. And then we move to the Vikings, 4-8. They've collapsed, officially fallen out of playoff contention here. I mean, the backup quarterback's a disaster up in Seattle.
Ooh.
Seattle didn't even play well, and balls were flying all over. They're bringing it back. But for the Vikings, Rod, I wanted to talk to you about big picture here with Justin Jefferson, because there's a lot of diva receivers. Yeah. He hasn't been one. No. He's been on board with the team. Yeah. Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach. I think their problem in the offseason is one of the biggest in football. To get J.J. McCarthy's got to have a great offseason, because they're all in on him.
Yeah.
They're all in on him. If he has a great offseason, do you think they can get him back on track the way some of these other younger quarterbacks are playing well?
What's a great offseason? What does that look like?
It's a full offseason with Kevin O'Connell. Offseason studying.
Does that make you better during the season? Like the only reason I say that is because I don't think he has a real strong arm, and that, you don't have to in the National Football League. You don't. You can be a timing, passing attack, which works in the National Football League. That's kind of the West Coast philosophy. So I kind of get that. I was just surprised that they let Sam Darnold walk out the building. And I know you drafted this kid. Yeah. You drafted an unknown for a guy who showed you that he can play.
You drafted a national champion quarterback out of Michigan who ran the ball more than threw the ball in the cold weather, thinking they were going to get that in Minnesota.
Right. So when you draft a kid, when you draft a player out of college, you're drafting a probability. Right? You hope that he can repeat what he did in college, but it is not college. These are the best players in the world playing. And now college football kind of does look, listen, these kids are big, faster, and stronger in college nowadays than when I played. But with that being said, there is a huge transition from college to the pros. And not saying he can't be that guy, but I still question mark where Sam Darnold was that guy that showed you they can be there. Can McCarthy, can he be that kid? Can he be the quarterback that they need consistently? First of all, he needs to stay on the field, and he needs to stay healthy to be that guy. If he can't stay healthy, he's not going to help the Minnesota Vikings on the long term.
Before we come back, I want to get two things done here. Patriots and Broncos and their quarterbacks, the AFC power shift, because the Rams didn't win their 10th game. The two best records in football are in the AFC. The Patriots are 11-2. The Broncos are 10-2. Let's start with the Patriots. Man, their special teams were good. Yeah. They just buried the Giants early. Everything that could go wrong in the beginning of the game for the Giants fell apart. They had a kicker who missed a kick. He stubbed the toe like hitting a wedge. Hitting a wedge into the ground.
How do you stub your toe in the ground? I've never seen it in my life.
Ever.
I've never seen it in Pop Warner. I've never seen it in high school. I've never seen that where you hit the ground before you hit the ball and the ball, his foot stuck into the dirt. When that happened, I was like, did he mean to do that?
It looked like he hesitated. I felt bad for him because I played the audio after the game and he said the ball was moving. That was his excuse because he wanted to take the heat.
Right.
But the ball wasn't moving. He just stubbed his toe.
No, he stubbed his toe.
Drake May, and what you've seen so far, 11-2. Just managing the game with Josh McDaniels. That's the best pairing of the year.
I think
Coordinator to player, I think we can all admit, Josh McDaniels with Drake May.
I think Josh McDaniels is an outstanding offensive coordinator in the National Football League. Every time that he's been offensive coordinator, his quarterbacks have played extremely good football. And Drake May is benefiting from him being there. Now, with that being said, they got some speed over there on offense. But he is the key to the cog because he's very poised for a young quarterback, and he's still learning. All young players all these guys in their second year, they're still learning how to play in the National Football League. But he's done a tremendous job in year 2, where he's taken the helm, he's the leader, he's making some great throws, some great reads. You don't see frustration come into his face anytime throughout the game. He can go to the sideline, talk to an offense coordinator who understands football in the National Football League. And the one thing that we know that, listen, Josh McDaniels has done one thing with Tom Brady. They used to just like nickel and dime everybody. 5 yards here, 3 yards here, 5 yards here, 3 yards here, 4 yards here, 5. So he tells him, hey, listen, throw it to the open receiver. It works. They won a lot of Super Bowls that way. And I think showing that tape where Tom Brady, so that's in the house, so he can show that. And he said, hey, I was the guy who was helping him do that. So I think he says, you know what, if you can help Tom Brady, the GOAT, then you can help me become the best quarterback that I can be week in and week out.
Real quickly, let's get into the play of the Broncos. 10-2. They've had the most amazing stats that I've seen. And they're 8-2 in one possession games. In their last 4 games, they're 4-0. All of those games combined have been decided by 10 points. They're winning everything that's close, everything in the fourth quarter, or a blocked 2-point conversion against Mariota, or whatever they're doing. They beat all teams 10-7 or 13-10. I haven't seen something like this, Rod, in a long time.
Is it like Bo Nix needs to be coming from behind to be at his best?
It's starting to look that way.
That's what it looks like, right?
It is.
And he plays well with it as a young quarterback. He's played a lot of college football. So he's coming in and his head coach is a good head coach, especially offensive coordinator. He understands what it needs to look like, what it looks like to be a great quarterback in the National Football League. So with Sean Payton being at the helm for him, it lets him say, hey, listen, this is what I did with Drew Brees. Very similar to what Josh McDaniels is doing with May in New England. So this is what I did with Drew Brees with the Saints. And he can show him the tape and say, hey, listen, trust me, trust the process. He's done a tremendous job. I mean, I know it's a lot of stress on all the coaches for the Denver Broncos, but for some reason, when they get behind by 3, he plays really good football.
I can tell as a former coach and a guy who's going to coach again that you talked about that stress. You can win all these games, but if you're losing by 3,
man,
you're winning by 3.
You get gray hairs for a reason. Coaches look older for a reason.
There you go. When we come back, the Chargers, are they about to heat up? And the 49ers are surviving their injury wave. We'll get back to that coming up next on Lay in the Wood. Welcome back to Lay in the Wood. Rod Woodson, JT. Please subscribe. We need you to click that button and share with your friends and family as we continue on. Want to get to Caleb Williams, what Ben Johnson's been able to do. They're on top now of the division, and I'm shocked that they're on top of the division. I thought they'd be competitive this year, around a 500 team. But, Rod, they did it. They got 3 offensive linemen before the start of the year, and they developed this quarterback. He's now looking completely different than he looked 6-7 weeks ago. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, go back to last year, his rookie year, and he just, I was like, man, is this guy really a first-round pick? Is he going to be that franchise quarterback? Can he be that franchise quarterback? But the one thing I do like from Ben Johnson, what he did when he came in, is he challenged him as a man. And I think when players can get challenged like that, but then they accept it, like, okay, well, hey, teach me. And I think he's taught him. I think he's taught him how to read defenses. He's taught him how to stay poised in the pocket. He's athletic. He has a natural God-given ability to make plays in and out of the pocket. He's fast. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he still can sling the football down the field. So he can do all those things. But I think learning what defense is doing to him, how to decipher what a defense is prior to the snap. And he has played really good football. And where he's at, you got to give a lot of credit to Ben Johnson challenging this young player. And then we've seen a lot of, I know I've seen a lot of players with a lot of talent come through the National Football League that's never developed. Mm-hmm. But he is developed, and I think that's one of the main reasons because of Ben Johnson challenged him in the offseason.
Want to get to the Chargers? They just beat the Raiders. It was 7-7 at the half, and then the Chargers just annihilated the Raiders in the second half of that game. Herbert got hurt in the game. right, on his non-throwing hand, came back. He's a tough player here.
He is.
I'm just starting to think, what I talked about with this most of the week on the radio is that the Chargers came off their bye week after they got humiliated in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And it looked like Jim Harbaugh said, we're going to get back to what we do. We don't have Alt, we don't have Slater, we're going to run it. They had second and third string running backs who were just tearing up the Raiders on the ground.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about when a team gets back to what they're known for. I think Harbaugh did that and said, we're not going to get cute here with Herbert and throw it around. We're going to run the ball and play physical.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, if you think about his time frame of coaching from college to the pros, he's a run-first guy.
Yeah.
Right? That's a Michigan guy, right? He was a run-first in Michigan. And it's his identity. That's really what he wants to do. His brother, John Harbaugh, that's what he wants to do,
Sure.
right? So getting back to what you like and being that physical, stout, run first mentality, and then off of that you can play pass. So you don't have to just drop back consistently with Herbert, which he's an outstanding quarterback, he is. But man, it's hard to drop back 45, 48 times every single game and you get no really work and help from the run game. But they got the run game working, and they did it, yes, with their second and third round guy or player guys. But with that being said, the Raiders defense hasn't played that well this year. Inconsistent throughout the year. They got playmakers, they got pieces to the puzzle. They just don't have the whole puzzle yet.
Well, one last thing with Herbert. I haven't seen a quarterback that I can remember in 20 years this talented where they don't want him to throw to his ability. I mean, some guys, that'd be like telling Joe Burrow, look, Joe, we won complimentary football. We're going to run it a lot. And I'm like, wait a second. You got Joe Burrow or Lamar.
Yeah.
They're doing that to Herbert. That might be his career with Jim Harbaugh, Rod.
Well, I can't say that because remember at the beginning of the year, Jim wanted him to use his feet more.
Okay.
And he did. And he looked better. Like, oh, he's getting out of the pocket. He normally doesn't get out of the pocket. He normally stays in the pocket and throws the football, but he's a big athletic quarterback. Let him go play. Now, with that being said, you don't want him always just dropping back and everybody can just tee off.
Yeah.
I mean, he got injured already, so that's one thing you don't want. So I think I get what Jim is saying, and Jim played the position. Now, it's a different time frame, right? So where Jimmy played is more run, and nowadays is 60% pass.
Yeah.
So Herbert, is he a big physical guy that can make any throw in the National Football League? Absolutely he can, but you got to help him somehow.
Let's wrap it up with the Niners. I want to get your opinion. They're surviving the injury wave twofold. The schedule's very easy. It's a last place schedule. They get Cleveland. Well, that's nice to get Cleveland this time of year. And Shador, who's really never played. They get Tennessee. They're getting all these games where they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, I believe. But dominant win there after the way Myles Garrett's been playing. Purdy didn't play great, but McCaffrey is catching the ball and running the ball. And their defense without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner.
Yes.
Imagine if they had both of them back route at 100%. They'd be a tough out.
They would be a tough out. When you have a lot of injuries to your roster, to key guys, not just guys, to the key guys, to your main players, and you're still playing really good football, that to me is a sign of a good coaching staff. So obviously they're putting everybody in pretty good positions, and guys are going to make plays. But they're playing, listen, when you play in the National Football League, everybody should be their best players. And I think for them, Purdy didn't play well, but they still got the win. And when you can win kind of ugly-ish, it's kind of a sign of a good offense or a good team.
We'll wrap it up on the other side. I'm going to ask Rod what his opinion is of what would he see if he saw Jackson Dart just running down the sidelines. What would you do from the safety position? And we're going to get Rod's opinion on the AFC and the NFC playoffs because it is wild from 7-1 in both conferences when we come back on Lay in the Wood. Wrapping it up on Lay in the Wood as we continue on. I got to start with Jackson Dart. Wow. I mean, he went and doubled down in the post-game press conference. What are you talking about? I'm a football player. I'm going to run. And he took some hits at Foxborough, Rod, that were pretty dangerous hits for a young player who seems to not get it. Dayball's gone, and maybe Dayball could have helped him, but he got fired. I don't know what's going on now, but the kid doesn't understand the abuse he's taken.
I get what you're saying. Because you like to be a gritty, tough-nosed quarterback. Man, you're the franchise quarterback. You can't take too many of those hits. I mean, these guys are bigger. He almost flipped him over on the sideline. I mean, he almost got flipped over. He almost did a 360. And eventually what's going to happen is he's going to get caught in a bad way.
Yeah.
And he's going to get knocked out. And that's what everybody's trying to say. Hey, protect yourself when you're getting to the sideline. Just step out of bounds. You don't need to prove that you're tough. You're in the National Football League. What you do need to do is stay on the field for your team so your team can play at its best, because your team's going to be better with you being out there than the backup quarterback.
Can you recall a quarterback, and you went up against some of the all-time greats, that when they were going out of bounds, they really weren't. They were going to try to make you miss, and you had a chance to tattoo them, or it was going to happen if they didn't get out of bounds. Well, you looked, and they're good players, or did they always get out?
I mean, Dan Marino, Warren Moon, all them dudes, they getting out of bounds. They getting out of bounds. They're like, get to the sideline. They see us coming in, like, why?
Right.
Why am I taking the hit? Why to get shellacked to show I'm tough? No, what you need to do, and I like the toughness, though. I do. I like the toughness from that quarterback, and I think his teammates like it. But at the end of the day, you got to be smart. And you have to be a smart player to stay on the field for your team, because your team's going to play better with you being there. And him getting knocked out on the sideline to show that he's tough, what is that? At the end of the day, what does it prove? It doesn't prove anything. But what he can do, what he can prove that he can win Super Bowls, is by staying on the field and going up and down the field against other defenses in the National Football League and not taking these big hits. So,
well, they knew what they were drafting. He puts the fake face paint on. He wears a diamond-encrusted necklace. Not one.
But did you see? Did you see the leather jacket coming into the stadium?
I did see that.
Oh, that was nice, though.
That was nice.
That was nice.
You
that
like
was
that.
Nice. I like that.
All right, let's jump into the AFC, because you're deeply involved in this. The Steelers are out. Baltimore's in, but they both have the same record. They have the percentage win here. Buffalo's the 7 seed. They're the 7. I have them winning the Super Bowl, having a bye week, and being 1. That train has left the station. I'm not getting that back. Patriots 11-2, Broncos 10-2. We touched on that. Jacksonville tonight is the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Say what you will about Trevor Lawrence. He's got that team kind of right in the middle of this.
I tell you what, I'm really surprised at Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence was a question mark. Like, what is he? Can he be that leader? Can he be that guy? They have a solid run game, but he has done a tremendous job. Defensively, they've done a tremendous job. I am truly surprised. I did not think Jacksonville was going to win more than 8 games this year. I thought 8 games, maybe 500, a little bit, maybe anything, maybe 9, maybe. But I thought they were going to be 500. I didn't think they would play this consistent this early.
Okay, let's go to the NFC. San Francisco's the 7, the Packers are the 6, Seattle at 5. Then your division winners, Tampa, Philadelphia, the Rams. Bears in the number 1 seed.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't think that's going to last.
You don't?
No, I don't think it's going to last with them being the 1 seed. I really don't think. I think they can win the division over Green Bay, but they're 9-3. The Rams are 9-3. I think the Rams and the Eagles are better than the Bears. Bears beat the Eagles. I get that. I've been on the Packers this year. I told you that tie is going to haunt the Packers, and it could haunt the Cowboys too, who I get to. And that's a good segue to these teams that are outside looking in, both the Cowboys and the Lions. They play on Thursday night. I nailed the last 2 weeks. I thought the Cowboys would beat Kansas City, and they'd come through and they'd win another big game. And I think Detroit now, I'm putting the halt on this. This is it for Dan Campbell and Gibbs and Amar St. Brown. All these guys got to win this game. If you can't beat the Cowboys at home, as the Cowboys have been peaking to get here, then you're not going to get to the Super Bowl, and you might not get to the playoffs. Who are you leaning with? Dallas at Detroit.
Yeah, I really like Dallas offense. I think they can score against any defense in the National Football League. I do question their defense at times because they're very inconsistent. But what I've seen recently of the Detroit Lions in the run game, man, that 1-2 punch, they're good. They got some Gibbs, Montgomery, they can get at it. And you got a speed guy, and you got a pounder, and then Jared Goff gets a play pass off of that. That's why they've been playing their best football, because they've been running the football against defenses, and then Jared Goff can play pass off of that, and he is at his best when he can play pass and throw the ball down the middle of the field.
Last one before you get on a plane, Ravens, Steelers. So Super Bowl you win with the Ravens, Hall of Famer. A lot of people identify you with the Steelers. When you get there, you go down on the field, see Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, you got Lamar warming up, John Harbaugh. What is that like for you when you walk into the stadium in a game like this and you know that rivalry as good as anybody?
I tell you what, it's going to be a close game. Most of the games are one-score games. They play so similar, run-first offense comparable to a hard-hitting nose defense. I think it comes down to how does Lamar play? He hasn't played well the last 3 weeks. Right, no touchdown passes the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
You know, he just hasn't played well. Can he get out of the slump? If he gets out of the slump, they can beat Pittsburgh. But if he plays the way he's played the last 3 weeks, I just don't know if they can beat him without having Lamar Jackson being at his best. If he's at his best, I think they can put up points against the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense has been very inconsistent this year, to say the least. And you know, if Lamar can be that guy, but Aaron Rodgers is going to still throw the football. But if Lamar can come get out of his shell that he's had the last 3 weeks, I think the Ravens can get him.
For Rod Woodson, I'm JT. Thanks for watching this episode. Please subscribe and share. And thanks for joining us on Laying the Wood.